Our lives took many twists and turns before we met. If any one of them had turned out differently, our chance may have passed. Something somewhere brought us together at exactly the point in our lives where we were ready to meet. Was it fate? Destiny? The magic of the universe? Whatever it was, it seems as though it was written, and I'll forever be grateful. I love you so much. I miss you. However, I will meet you in the morning. In July 20th, 2016, fate brought me to the doorsteps of Thabang's workplace. Little did I know this chance encounter would change the course of my life forever. I was waiting for a friend to pick me up when he appeared. I never knew I'd meet someone who'd become my best friend. Thabang made an impression on me from the moment we met, and I felt a deep assurance straight away that my life will never be the same again. But with my mind preoccupied by the situation I was at, I never expected anything to come out of it. I don't want to go into much details about that day, but we exchanged numbers, and a week later he called. However, with each conversation, I felt drawn to him, and I got a bit worried because it was my very first time to feel a deeper connection with a guy, not to mention the fact that I went as far as creating that platform for us to interact. I always chased men whenever they tried showing some interest in me because I'm a church girl. No, let me rephrase. I was a church girl with a message believer title then, and I think I'm right to say I was sort of brainwashed to believe that the only men I should entertain must be message believers, you know. And so no matter how serious somebody was showing interest in me, no matter how handsome, no matter how rich, I'd chase them away. I was conditioned to believe they are serpent seeds. But with Thabang, everything was flowing so naturally. He was such a good company, and we effortlessly built a friendship that soon blossomed into a love I couldn't have imagined. But you know, I feel proud to say from the moment we met with Thabang, there's no form of worldly standard beauty that attracted us to one another. He didn't have beard. I grew his beard. Indoda mayibe nentshebe, guys. I grew my man's beard. He had a mustache, and so I had short hair because at some point I'd permed my hair, so it started withering. I had to cut it and start my afro afresh. And then I was also a full-time long skirt girl without any makeups, you know. So that's how he found me. That's how he was attracted to me. I was all natural, you know. He was working at Statistics South Africa, and we'd go eat together during his lunch break. I started showing up unannounced at his workplace, you know, and so he'd welcome me with so much love, and we'd walk together to the roadhouse. That's where we'd have our lunch, you know. So this other day, as we were walking, he was wearing gray, and so he said to me, "You don't entertain me when I say I love you. Why?" You know, I looked at him and I was so shocked because I never expected a man of his caliber to be attracted to a scared girl. Oh no, I never expected that from him. And then I just looked at him with disbelief. I was shocked, you know. A girl without makeup. I was honestly moved. As I said when I started, I did not expect anything to come out of it. I was just overwhelmed with my situation, and so falling in love with him was the last thing in my mind. But bruh, I fell, and I never looked back. I fell so hard. And then, oh, I really miss my man. This other day it was cold, and so I WhatsApped him if I can maybe go wait for him in the car, because he'd knock off around 4:30. And so he said to me, no, proceed to the mall, go buy a jacket there, and then leave it there till I'll come pay for it. And so when I arrived at the shops, I found also beautiful shoes. I couldn't help but add them on top of the jacket, and he later gladly paid for them. He really loved me with his whole heart. It was selfless love, sacrificial love, you know. And then sometime in 2017, towards the end, I think around August, he came to me and he told me we need to separate, and because he's going through a storm, so he needs his own space. It was so unbelievable. You know, I couldn't believe that was happening. I just sighed. In my heart, I was saying, story of my life. I'm used to being rejected. You know, nothing good will ever happen to me. And so I gave him the space he needed. And then it was September, October, November, December, we were not together. In January, he called, he reached out to me, and we met. Then he explained his story, how he was dismissed at work, you know, and it all made sense. I was hating together with him. And so he said to me, I'm really sorry for the way I acted, but I'm here to reintroduce myself. I'm an unemployed guy who's in love with you. Can you still date me? Can you still, you know, walk this journey with me? And I was so shocked. And then I embraced him. And so we journeyed on, you know, our love growing each day. And it came to a point where he realized I'm a church girl and I'm struggling to find a place of worship. So in 2019, he found me a church where I am currently at. Babe really loved me. And you know, he not only loved me, he loved even my family. He'd go all out every time we are hosting them. And so that really melted my heart. This other time, my younger sister came to visit. It was cold. And so he told me, since you are 7 visitors at church, don't worry about lunch. I'll go and bring you lunch. I'll buy lunch for you guys. And he brought us lunch. Later, we drove my sister to the taxi rank. And so as we were about to drive back, he said to me, man, your sister must be feeling cold in the taxi. I bought you some heat holders. They are in the boot. It's leggings. And so, can't you call her to come wear them? I'll buy you a new pair tomorrow. And so I went to call my sister. My love stepped out of the car and then she wore them. She was warm. I thank the Lord because of the love we shared with Babe. I'll forever be grateful to God for enabling me to experience, or rather to taste, of pure love. You know, the pain that I'm feeling in my heart right now is deep. And actually, saying it's deep is an understatement. I don't know what to do. I feel like running away. I feel like following him to heaven. And I miss talking to him. He was a man of few words, shy as well. It took him forever to even initiate a hug to me, you know. When he finally did, I held him so tight. I felt safe in his arms. You know, after all the rejection I'd faced, 8 years in the wilderness, the loneliness, and here comes this handsome creature telling me it's gonna be okay, assuring me it's gonna be okay, assuring me that my life will never be the same again. I couldn't help but, you know, hold him so tight. And right now, I feel like I'm in a different world. Everything has changed. And so what I find touching the most is that 5 years later, when he was reinstated at work, the first thing that he wanted to do was build a wall at my church. He came to me and he said, "Sweetheart, I feel I need to do something for your church because I believe it's your prayers that brought about victory in my life. And so I'm going to be building a wall. Please, you know, find out how I can do that for me." You know, Babe was such a unique, special personality. He was so observant, he was so thoughtful. At times he'd come and sit here with me, and I think that you know, we are just together, you know, chilling together. At the end of the day, I find that he noticed a lot of things that needs a refill. He'd go as far as noticing that my toothpaste is finishing in 2 days. The following day, he'd be bringing groceries here, toothpaste, you know, milk. And then that would make my heart bubble with joy to say, I have found a sacrificial love. And so he kept nagging me about it. He even told me, I made some measurements. I already made some measurements. And I know the cost. I've calculated the cost. And, you know, at times he'd take me and we'd drive to church. Then he'd show me, you see, this is how I want to do it. And then, my God, I really hate religion. Religion is a barrier. Babe had a phrase he used to repeat. He had a line that he loved so much. He always said to me, when you say something is wrong, it's wrong according to who? Because I said to him, babe, this is not going to be happening. It's not going to be possible. You know, Abazalwani, they will be so judgmental about the whole thing. They'll tell you we are not married, you know. I'm yet to introduce you to them. And so how do you go about this whole thing? It's just not going to happen. I don't see it happening, you know. And so he was so relentless about it. And, you know, I don't know who put that idea or that desire in his heart, but my Bible says every good gift, it comes from God. And so he wanted to do it anonymously. I said, no, you cannot do that. I don't want people, you know, saying nasty things when this truth comes out. And so a few months down the line, my man fell sick. His legs started swelling, you know. I think I made mention of such in my previous video, but I just want to be more detailed about our love story and also how the church kicked me when I was down. You know, he started by hiding them from me. And because I loved playing with the soles of his feet, they were as soft as those of a newborn. So I'd wait for him to take off his shoes and I'd start, playing with the soles of his feet. That's how I got to notice that we have a problem. I got really worried and I had to massage him straight away. But they were just growing bigger and bigger every day. And then the stomach followed. And so this other time I had a vision from God showing me how serious this is. And I told my love, I said, babe, I really need to support you. I feel like you're gonna leave me. I will just hold your hand every step of the way. Please, let's go and get some help. You are not okay. I remember I went home in November. Then when I came back, I saw him. He was different. When I came back from home, he was different. He came to fetch me at the bus station, and so we drove all the way to Brackenhurst Nando's, where I was to wait for him until he's knocked off. And he took out his card, and that day he even gave me his PIN and said, I'm coming back, you can order whatever you want. I was so shocked. What prompts this man? What's pushing this man to give me his PIN? I just did not understand what made him this happy, And so after some time, he came back to me, and then we proceeded. He was just buying junk for me. Pizza, prawns. We came home full that day. All in all, I got to realize how much he was missing me when I was away, because I'd spent 2 weeks at home. He was really so excited, like a small child. And that also melted my heart. And so a few days later, he said to me, you must go to a convention. Don't you have conventions in your church? I said, we do have. He said, yeah, I'm going to pay for you. You must go. And then I did not understand what's happening with him. Why do you want me to go? What do you want to do when I'm away? And then he said, no, I just want you to go. I can even drive you to there, but I'll be working. We don't close at Stats. And I gladly went to the conference. Coming back, I found that he's admitted in the hospital. I cried. And I proceeded to him straight away. I found him there. He wanted to buy me everything that was in the kiosk. Yet he's the patient. I'm there to see him. And I miss him. And so I started visiting him at the hospital every day. I was there, The nurses, seeing how much we love one another, they just decided to break protocol, and I'd just be with him throughout the day. We'd even walk outside to go get fresh air. So we'd sit at the benches. And I look at him. I could see that my man is really sick, but I never thought he'd die, that he's gonna live. That was the last thing in my mind. I just thought he was going to be well, and I was there to hold his hand until he's whole. And so this other day, I decided to take a nap. I'd taken a little break from the hospital. And so as I was sleeping here, I heard a voice saying, Urisile. That is to say, he's left us. I quickly jumped. And then I went straight to WhatsApp to check his last scene. I found that he left me a message there to say everything was successful, was done successfully, and then I can come see him tomorrow. I was so happy. I was really so happy. It was early January. And so every moment I spent with that man was priceless. Within a few days, he was discharged. I went to fetch him. Bruh, I was the happiest woman alive. I was so happy that my best friend is back home, that we are out of the hook. Little did I know. And so this other day he told me he doesn't understand what is happening with his body. He sometimes falls asleep while seated. And I said to him, that means you must stop driving. You don't have to drive anymore. He stopped, but he never stopped coming here. He'd walk, and it's a distance for somebody who's even sick. He'd walk, and he'd come here walking, sideways. I'd see him opening the gate. He was so tired. And he'd tell me that, oh, sweetheart, I was only praying to God on the way that, Lord, only if I can just arrive to her. Only if I can just make it to her. Oh, Father God, I don't know what to say, but we spent our last moments. He spent his last moments with me until such time when he was readmitted towards the end of January. He slept here for the last time on the 27th. On the 28th, he was back in the hospital. I went there to see him until the 31st of January. And on the 1st, that's when he was discharged. And I was not there. His mom went to fetch him. And so later that day, on the 1st, it was on a Wednesday, he called me to come. I did not know that I'm receiving a call that will change my whole life. The last call he made my way was on the 1st of February, around 5:30. I went there running. I requested an Uber. Before 6:30, I was there. I found him asleep. I woke him up. He was so confused. He went to take a shower and he came back to me. He brought me food and said he's not going to be eating with me. I was also full, but I just wanted to please him, I asked him to pray for the food. He prayed. And I started having this terrible headache. Then he gave me my bullet. And so as I was trying to eat, he collapsed. And he said, Ish, I tripped. And that's when I realized he can't stand on his own. He's not able. I helped him, and I fed him juice. I fed him avocado because I had no idea what was going on. And he also needed water to drink. I also helped him drink water. I just wonder if baby was aware that he's living. I have an overwhelming conviction that he was aware. That's why he called me. He just didn't want me to worry. But I believe he died as he lived peacefully. He just wanted me to be there next to him when he switched dimensions. I'm the last person he saw, the last person he spoke to. After everything we've built together, how we just struggled together. At some point, we'd eat pap and eggs and soup, and I'd be happy to be eating such with him. We shared a plate. We'd go to the butchery, to the shisanyama together, and buy pap and bors and chakalaka. The other time we went to buy, I don't know what they call it, but it's they call it scopo. It's a cow head meat. And so we fell sick. That's when we realized we're not cut for this type of food. I miss my man. That picture when his coffin was descending 6 feet under. It's just so vivid. I'm hurting. But I thought I'd be comforted in the house of the Lord. I told myself, but you have a spiritual home, you can go there. And so I set up a meeting with the elders of the church. I went to see them. Only 2 were available, and they told me they are representing the rest of the team. I narrated my story to them. I was just a child crying for help. I was not there to introduce my boyfriend to them. I was there as somebody who is wounded, and they kicked me down when I was at my worst. The purest form of discernment is to hear what is not being said, is to read between the lines, is to get the message in the message. And so the first 2 elders were much more compassionate. They even prayed with me. They even promised, to avail themselves. They asked me, when is the burial? We met on a Tuesday, and I told them it's on Thursday. And so they said, we will quickly come back to you. They spoke to me as my parents, But then Wednesday, they didn't, they were quiet. And then until I went to bury my man. Fortunately, I have a gogo and Kulu at church who loves the Lord so much. And so I was led to them by the Holy Spirit a night before the burial. And so I went to tell them what happened. They never judged me. Surprisingly, they never judged me. They told me that, no, you are our child, so we're going to carry you. Even tomorrow we are coming to the burial. They came. They were the first to arrive. And so I had a full support. And as if that was not enough, on Saturday around 11, one of the elders sent me a message to come see them around 1 the same day. I didn't know what to expect. And so I made some meals, and around 3, I was already in the upper room. Guess what? I found the rest of the committee there, the rest of the elders, waiting for me. And I greeted, then they told me what they have concluded. And that is to excommunicate me. I jumped. I said, I was really not expecting that. Bruh, I just buried my man on Thursday. Friday, just a day after. This is how I'm treated. Couldn't they at least wait for me to heal? I'm still bleeding. They told me, no. The reason we're going to do this, the reason we didn't even come to the funeral is because Lana engonzwena's Joel. I was so shocked because I explained the story and how I met Thabang. I didn't go out of the church. When I came, he was already in the picture. He is the one who sought this church for me. And so, the reason you know me is because of him. I'd explained everything and they understood. But now when they come back, they are singing a different tune. And so I told them, it's fine, you can go ahead, but I'm not coming to church. I'm not going to come to church. They said to me, you need to be there so that it doesn't look like we are gossiping about you. I did not believe. I still can't believe what happened. I came to church on Sunday and they just, aired my laundry in front of everyone, how we met with Thabang, And I was there, seated. But I felt my man's presence that day. I felt like he was just there saying to me, it is well, stay strong. And I remained strong until the long story was finished. And bruh, ever since that day, I'm not okay. As if that was not enough, I went back to church the following Sunday. The preacher started talking about me at the pulpit, bashing me at the pulpit. Was excommunicating not enough? I didn't want to create a scene, so I bowed my head. I was praying, Father God, please, can this stop already? But, he was busy going on and on and on, reducing me to nothing. And I stood up. I went outside to cry. A true sign that we are progressing and coming to Christ is how we treat one another. We cannot claim to have a uniform of love and then portray hatred. You know, I came home, I was a mess. Psalm 35 kept repeating itself in me. From verse 12 where it says, they rewarded me evil for good to the spoiling of my soul. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled my soul with fasting, and my prayer returned into mine own bosom. I behaved myself as though he had been my friend or brother. I bowed down heavily as one that mourneth for his mother. But in mine adversity they rejoiced, and they gathered themselves together. Yeah, the abject gathered themselves together against me, and I knew it not. They did tear me and ceased not. You know. Yeah, I cried that day. And so through the help of the Holy Spirit, I managed to rise, you know. And like David, I have resorted to encouraging myself in the Lord my God. Forgetting those things which are behind, I press on. I ain't gonna wait for somebody to encourage me. I ain't gonna spend another year, another month, another week trying to understand why they don't love me. I ain't gonna spend another year, another week waiting for somebody to buy me roses, to take me out. If there's nobody to buy me roses, I'm gonna buy myself roses. I'm gonna continue with my solo dates. Sure, if you wanna join me, it's fine, but the party has already started. I ain't gonna wait for somebody to cancel me. Church hurt is real. I was hurt in ways that I could never have imagined. And I thought maybe they'll arrange counseling for me. They'll send mamas my way, you know. There's not even a single mama who came my way. Not even a single mama. I was left to bleed alone. I was told the reason we couldn't come to the funeral is because as Jolie, we don't date. If you are going to stop attending a funeral because somebody was dating, you might as well stop dedicating kids that were born outside wedlock. Because those are the product of mjolo. You know, if there's anything grief has taught me, if there's anything life has taught me in general, is that it's better to be excommunicated by people who are already excommunicated by God than to be excommunicated by God himself. You know, there's so much noise behind me. I heard some saying, yeah, Beulah didn't have a choice. Nami, if I was in a situation, I was gonna, date the guy, I was gonna fall. I don't even know where they get the impression that I dated Thabang for what he had to offer. You know, we come a long way with Babe. We've been through the West together. And so, what are these people insinuating? Are they insinuating that I fell for him because of what he had to offer? Thabang was not the first guy who came my way, but he's the first guy who made a mark. There's men who came before him who were even better than him in stature, but I shunned them. You know, and I was just thinking that it's mostly those people who don't know where we are coming from that mostly have a lot to say about our lives. You don't know the cost of oil in my alabaster box. I did not fall for the first guy who came my way. I'm a woman who mostly attracts men of great influence. But I chose Thabang. I'm that type of girl who don't reason through an empty stomach. Before Thabang, I shunned a Land Rover Discovery. I shunned the latest Mercedes-Benz. I shunned the most expensive cars there is. I shunned men of great influence who were going to take me places. Thabang came my way driving an I-10, a red I-10. You don't know the cost of oil in my alabaster box. I'm actually single by choice. I am where I am at by choice. I could simply choose the life that I want and everything would change in a blink of an eye. But I chose the way with the Lord's despised few. And so, you don't know the cost of oil in my alabaster box. God does not judge me for falling in love, but the world is judging me, and there's nothing I can do about it. God brought Thabang my way. He allowed us to meet. You see me today, grieving for the love of my life. God saw me when I was fighting temptations left, right, and center. Temptations in the form of Land Rovers and all that. From a very young age, I knew the kind of a lady that I am. When I was still in varsity, I was always selected among the rest. When I was in a train station with my friend, a man decided to stand up and offered me his seat while my friend remained standing, and she was not happy about it. The other day, I was walking with a lady, a yellow bone, and saw this guy driving these big cars stopped, and he just said, "Can I please talk to you? You are so beautiful." And the lady thought they were referring to her, and he said, "No, I'm referring to Indonia Manzi. They call dark beauties Indonia Manzi." And then she was offended. When the guy left, she said, "I wonder what he sees in you because umnyama. You know, I am where I'm at by choice. And so, stop talking things that you know nothing of." And so, you probably wonder why I'm still going back to the same people who hurt me, the same church that kicked me when I was down. Let me tell you a secret. The very character of Jesus was perfected by the things he went through. We don't run away from problems. If we run, we miss an opportunity to grow. Athi omunye umhlabeleli mase ngibuye emlilweni ngiba namandla kakhulu. Another thing, the only thing that can make me say bye-bye is a wrong doctrine, not some form of disagreement. Lalela, people will always talk. You do a good thing, they talk. You do a bad thing, they talk. I served in the church. At some point, I was cleaning the church alone. But when an opportunity presented itself to judge and condemn me, they made sure to use it to their best satisfaction. They forgot all my good works and concentrated on my love life with Thabang. I thought we preach and say love covers a multitude of sins. But I'm amazed that when I needed the church to support me, to accompany me to bury my man, the same love couldn't cover my mistakes. My mistakes were on top and love under. We cannot come because as jolly. I have so much confidence in God. My heart is not condemned. I know that my Father is hating it near me. That's why He's renewing my strength. You know, losing a partner is no child's play. The tears that I'm crying, the sleepless nights, it takes God to give me strength to even walk to church. Otherwise, it's not easy. And so that's the reason I want to say, until I reach my home, until I reach my home, I will never depart from His way until I reach my home.